and welcome everyone to the Fiscal Planning, Finance and Building Committee meeting in open session on Wednesday, June the 5th, 2024. It is 6 p.m. and we will begin as we have quorum. Thank you everyone for joining us online and in person. Item 1 is to call the meeting to order, which I'm doing right now. And item 2 is a motion to convene into closed session. Trustee Davies, will you move that? Trustee Johal was seconded. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Item 3 is to rise and report from the closed session. We rise and report on items dealt with in closed session. We received a procurement activity report for our information, and we approved a recommendation regarding easements at 3 public schools: Caledon East Public School, Silverthorne Public School, and Fletcher's Creek Senior Public School. We also received for information a combined capital project status report. Will you move this, Trustee Formoli? Thank you. Will you second it, Trustee Bailey? Thank you. Are there any questions about the rise and report? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Item 4 is acknowledgement of the traditional lands, please.
The land upon which we work, live, and sustain ourselves is the ancestral and treaty lands of the Michizagig Anishinaabe, also known today as the Mississaugas of the Credit, the rightful caretakers and title holders of this land. We also recognize the rich pre-contact history and relationships which include the Anishinaabe and the Ongwe-Hongwe.
Since European contact, this land continues to be home to Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. As responsible community members, we value the diversity, dignity, and worth of all people.
Colonialism displaced and dispossessed Indigenous peoples of their ancestral land
and continues to deny their basic human rights, dignities, and freedoms.
We are committed to learning true history to reconcile, make reparations, and fulfill our treaty obligations to the original peoples and our collective responsibilities to the lands, water, animals, and each other for future generations.
Thank you. And just before we move to item 5, to approve the agenda, I would like to welcome to the board, and in particular to this committee, our new controller of planning, accommodation, and support services. Say that again, it's planning and accommodation support services, Mr. Matthew Thomas, and he is here with us, encouraging all of the trustees who are not in person to find some time to say hello to Mr. Thomas and have a chance to meet and greet, because we are going to work together magnificently moving forward. So welcome, Matthew. Item 5 is the approval of the agenda. Can we put that on the floor? Trustee McDonald, will you move that, please? Trustee Formoli will second it. Are there any questions or concerns about the agenda? All in favor of approval? That is approved. That's carried. Thank you. Item 6 is declarations of conflict of interest. Are there any declarations to be made? Seeing none, we'll move to item 7, which is approval of all 3 sets of minutes which are connected with this committee. 7.1 is STOPAR, which is the Student Transportation Appeal Region minutes of January 26th. Trustee Bailey, will you move those, please? Thank you. Trustee Johal, second. Thank you. Are there any questions or concerns about those meeting minutes from 7.1? Seeing none, all in favor of approval? That is carried. Item 7.2 is the Fiscal Planning, Finance and Building Committee meeting of April 3rd. We'll move that. Trustee Davies, please. Trustee McDonald, will you second?
Yes.
Thank you. Are there any questions about that set of meeting minutes at 7.2? Seeing none, all in favor of approval? That is carried. Thank you. It's item 7.3 is the Budget Development Committee meeting from May the 7th, 2024. Let's move that. Trustee Johal, will you move it, please? And Trustee Formoli, will you second? Thank you. Are there any questions or concerns about that Budget Development Committee meeting of May 7th? Seeing none, all in favor of approval? That is carried. Thank you. Item 8 is delegations, of which we have none. Item 9 are staff reports. Item 9.1 is the application status update, which is here for our information, and a presentation to be made by Zach Tessero, who is our development planner. Zach, welcome.
Thank you, Stan. Through you, Chair, this report is for information and includes a list of development applications reviewed by staff for the month of April 2024 with a location map and the letters sent to the respective municipality. I am now open to take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Zach. Let's put it on the floor. Trustee Davies, move it, please. Trustee Bailey, will you second? Thank you. It's on the floor. Are there any questions about item 9.1, the application status update? Seeing none from anybody else, Zach, there's nothing unusual in this one, right? This is a fairly standard, regular report for us.
Yep.
Excellent. Thank you. All in favor of receipt for information? That is carried. Thank you. 9.2 is a procurement activity report, which is also here for our information, presented by Wendy Dobson, our controller of corporate support services. Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you and good evening. Through you, Chair Cameron. As mentioned in front of you this evening in your package is the procurement activity report for the period of March 1st, 2024 to April 30th, 2024. Highlights of this report were awarding of the following projects: LED lights, lighting upgrade to Bramalea Secondary School, the Woodland Secondary School, Turner Fenton North Campus, and Turner Fenton South Campus. In addition, supply and delivery of floor care equipment and parts and batteries as required, the project of Springfield Public School window replacement, and finally, the service to automatic door operators. And I'm happy to take any questions you may have on this report.
Thank you, Controller Dobson. Let's move it to the floor. Trustee, sorry, let's get it on the floor. You want to move that, Trustee Promoli? You will, and Trustee Bailey, will you second it? Thank you. So it's moved on the floor. Are there any questions from any trustees about this report? Yes, Trustee Promoli, go ahead.
Thank you. Thrilled about the replacement windows at Springfield. Just wondering about the time frame on when we should expect that project to happen.
Wendy? No. Oh, no, Thomas?
Yes.
Thomas, thank you.
Thank you. And I have Assistant Controller Isabella Borowski. She'll take the question.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Good question. So the window projects are taking a little bit of a time because of the fabrication. So it was just awarded. So just bringing that high level, it was just awarded. We will have a kickoff. Then we are going through the shop drawings, and that may take maybe 2-3 months. And then it's the fabrication stage. So I am going to make an assumption based on what we've seen happening this year, because if it was awarded now, I'm thinking this is going to be summer 2025. Or again, depending on the conversations with the contractors, we may be doing it in phases. So we're going to be pushing it down because there's going to be a lot of other projects happening at that school. So we want to make sure everything happens fast.
Yes, thank you. And through you, Chair, I do know there's quite a list of projects for Springfield. So, and one in particular I have my eye on, but I'll follow up with AD Gill about that. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And I think maybe I can speak to that one because that one was awarded as well, the elevator. Yeah.
Do we have an update on that?
Yeah, it's been awarded. So it's we actually just issued a check to get it going today for the permits. So it's well underway.
That is great news. Thank you.
Good news. Thank you. Are there any other questions about 9.2? Seeing none, it's moved and seconded, right? Yes, all in favor for our information that is received. Thank you. 9.3 is the vandalism activity report, also here for our information. Presentation will be made by Controller Dobson again. Well, again.
Thank you, and through you, Chair Cameron. The vandalism activity report is for the period of February 2024 and March 2024. In February, there was a total of 22 after-hour incidents. Nothing significant from previous months, with the exception of one notable incident involving an accidental dumpster fire at Meadowvale Secondary School, which incurred a cost of approximately $10,000. In the month of March, excuse me, there was 15 after-hour incidents. And again, the overall cost for the month was minimal, pretty standard for a regular month. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, let's move this to the floor for any discussion. Trustee Joe Hall, move this, please. Thank you. Trustee McDonald, will you second it? Thank you. It's on the floor. Are there any questions or concerns about 9.3, the vandalism activity report? So I just had one question, Controller, and it really had to do with the number of suspicious listings of suspicious behavior or suspicious events on site. Is that mostly loitering, or is there something else more suspicious?
Through you, Chair, of the 22 in February 2024, of the 22 active incidents, 8 were vandalism, 6 of them were suspicious activity, varying from illegal dumping to trespassing, loitering, those types of issues.
So we have illegal dumping on our site. Is it possible that we can find, I'll just give you an example, somebody dumped a pile of stuff when the city of Toronto was having a garbage strike, and they came to Caledon to dump their garbage. It was not far from my house, and I went through it and found a prescription bottle. I called the OPP, I gave it to them, the charges were laid. No court appearance for me because the guy pled guilty. Is there any evidence in some of those dumpings on our schools that we could help stop this?
So through the chair, yes. So once security patrol is brought on site, there is a review of what's inside the bag. In a lot of cases, we have not been able to find anything that identifies where it came from. But yes, there is a quick search that's done within that bag.
It's an oxymoron to call them smart dumpsters, right? But okay, thank you. So 9.3 has been moved and seconded, and we've had our opportunity for questions. This is here for our information. All in favor of receipt for information? Thank you. That is carried. 9.4 is the Transportation and Regional Learning Choices Program. Recommendation here for us to approve. This is a presentation also by Controller Dobson. Thank you, Wendy.
Good evening, and through you, Chair. On September 27, 2023, the board passed the following motion by Trustee Bailey regarding student transportation to Regional Learning Choices Program. Within that motion, there was a number of questions around what would it cost, number of students, and a report to be delivered back. Tonight, we are updating you on the questions within that motion. To give you a bit of background, currently students attending the Regional Learning Choices Program are only eligible for transportation if they live within the school boundary and reside beyond the walking distance criteria set by the school board. Highlights within this report are that PDSB has 12 elementary and 15 secondary schools that offer Regional Learning Choices programs. Approximately 6,476 students are in that program that would require transportation. Transportation to the programs would require a phase-in plan. To go into that a little bit further, I'd like to talk about the financial and operational implications. Transportation can only be supported to the Regional Learning Choices Program if the Ministry of Education provided funding. The Ministry of Education has developed a new transportation funding formula for all school boards. As part of the new funding formula, school boards are required to complete an annual routing simulation report. STOPR was able to achieve that this year, and staff included routes to transport students to the Regional Learning Choices Program as part of our submission. Based on the submission, the Ministry of Education has allocated additional funding. Staff have reviewed the transportation funding for the 2024-2025 school year and confirmed we have received funding to accommodate the costs associated with transporting students to the Regional Learning Choices Program. To implement transportation to the regional program, STOPR would require STOPR would require to adopt a phased-in approach. This is essential given the substantial number of routes that would be required, which is approximately 200 new routes on the road. In order to accommodate the students for elementary and secondary programs, implementing these routes by September 2024 is unrealistic for our bus operators in order for them to obtain vehicles and enough drivers in order to complete this task. The plan to start providing transportation to 12 elementary regional learning choices program would be for September 2024. The next phase would extend transportation services to grade 9 and 10 students attending the original program by September 2025. Further review of transportation will determine any phase in for grade 11 and 12. As far as next steps for the requirement of transportation and implementing the transportation, at a future governance and policy committee meeting, we would have a revision of 2 policies: the Regional Learning Choices Program Policy number 64 and the Transportation Policy 39. In addition, both Stop Bar and the curriculum department would work on communication plan if this was approved. Also attached to this report is the appendix of all the schools that offer regional learning choices or learning choices programs for you to view, and I'm happy to take any questions you may have regarding this report.
Excellent. That's a good news story. Thank you so much for that. We should move this to the floor by 2 people who I know have had their heart on and their eyes on this. Trustee Bailey, will you move this, please? Trustee Joe Hall, will you second it, please? Thank you. It's on the floor. Would anyone like to make any question or comment to present now? Trustee Bailey, go ahead.
I like this one has been near and dear to my heart because, you know, when it comes to equity and removing barriers for students, I'm so happy that Peel District School Board is moving towards removing another barrier for access. And I completely understand when you say, you know, rolling it out in phases, that it would be unrealistic to put it all out at one time. So thank you to Jaspal and your entire team for making this a reality for the almost 7,000 students that will benefit from this program.
Excellent. Thank you. Are there any other comments, questions? We're all good? Well, this is here as a recommendation for us to approve. All those in favor of this report to be approved, that is carried. Thank you. Well done. Great report, Wendy. Thank you for all of your work.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah. Item 10 is communications, of which none have been presented to me. Item 11 is trustee motions for consideration, of which we have none. Item 12 is trustee notices of motions, which none have been presented. Item 13 is adjournment. Trustee Davies will move it. Trustee Bailey will second it. All in favor of adjournment. Thank you, everyone.